All right, guys, so we're gonna go over the bodyweight squat progression, starting from a two-legged squat going all the way into a full pistol squat. So starting off, if you've never really squatted before, you wanna start off bodyweight squat, squatting onto a chair or whatever you have. So I'm gonna start off with my feet straight. I always initiate a squat by pushing my butt back and kind of pushing my knees out. I want my knees tracking over my pinky toes, all right? Come up, stand up all the way. So you can start off squatting to something like this. Once that feels easy, you can go to something lower, like a lower box, right? Butt back, then stand up all the way. And then once you get good at that, you can do 8 to 10 reps without any issues. You can go to a full body weight squat, which is here. So I want you to make sure you can get, 10 to 15 good body weight squats before you even mess around with a one-legged squat. So going into a one-legged squat, taking things to the next step, kind of same progressions as a body weight squat. So I'm gonna start off here with a high surface, something about knee to hip, like under my hip height. I'm gonna stick one foot up, I'm gonna go butt back, sit onto it, and then stand up, all right? Make sure your foot's far enough away that when I sit down, my shin stays pretty vertical, right? I don't want my weight shifting to my toes. So sit butt back, and then come up, all right? Make sure you feel comfortable with this. If there's a lot of wobbling in your knee, go to something a little bit easier. One thing you can do is you can stick this front foot out as kind of like a kickstand when I sit down here, so now it's assisting me, right? My weight's on my back foot, but I have this front foot sitting here just to make sure I'm not wobbling too much, all right? Another thing too, weight on the heel and make sure this knee tracks over the midfoot or even the pinky toe. Do not let that knee cave in. As soon as you feel that knee caving in, make sure you fix it and push it out, all right? So with this, start off at a higher surface, and then when you get better at it, you can go to something lower, and obviously just kind of keep working your way down, right? And of course, you can take this foot out from it if you feel comfortable with it. If there's no wobbling in your knee or very little and you feel comfortable, take that bottom foot out of it, all right? And you can basically work on that until you're going down all the way into a pistol squat. So you can start off at a higher surface and work down lower and lower until you're doing a full pistol squat, which looks like this, all right? Now, if you feel like you have the strength to go down, but you're falling back a lot, then that is usually related to ankle range of motion, your ankle mobility. So one thing you can do to help you on these pistol squats is put something under your heel, all right? So I have a plate here. You can go into like the lip of a driveway or a mat, anything like 1 to 2 inches tall, and then butt back, kind of lean forward, and then come down here, all right? That's gonna help you a little bit if you feel like you're falling backwards a lot, all right? Same thing, butt back, and make sure that knee kind of tracks out. Don't let that knee cave in. As far as this front foot, you can bend it a little bit. You might find if you're locking it out a lot, you might have some cramping in that foot, stuff like that. But you can play around with that. So remember, starting off with the two-legged squat, working down to a lower box, and then a bodyweight squat, and then with the one leg, starting off at a higher surface, so you can use that front foot to kind of help you up, and then going to a lower surface. One option you do have, I just don't really include it because a lot of people don't have access to a box like this. If you have access to something like this, like a box, what you can do is you can do a step down here, there, right? And what I'm doing here, I like doing this if you do have access to a box. What I'm doing is I'm standing here, going butt back, getting the weight in the heel, and then stepping down, and of course going higher and higher. If I'm all the way up here, you can see me here, I go butt back, pushing the knee out. If I'm all the way down here, this is the same range of motion as a pistol squat, but it's a little bit, I'm able to, put my leg down and keep myself in a little bit better position than a traditional pistol squat. So you can play around with that as a variation as well, starting off, lower, just working with a little bit of range of motion, and then going lower and lower until you're basically in the same range of motion as a pistol squat. So that's called a box step down. I do recommend adding these in if you have access to a box, but if you don't have a box, start off, with the traditional pistol squats that I showed you. Start off with something that's easy and kind of work through it, make sure that knee feels stable, and make sure you feel comfortable with the variation you're at before you progress further, all right? So those are the pistol squats. Start off, see where you feel comfortable, and then just progress and see how far you can go, progressing each week, trying to challenge yourself to harder and harder pistol squats until you can go to full pistol squat. Once you get into a full pistol squat as well, one thing I want to show And obviously you can add on weights. You can hold dumbbells, you can hold plates, kettlebells, whatever, and do a weighted squat. When you're doing even the easier variations, however, one thing you can do is take a plate. This is a 5-pound weight, but you can do like 10 to 20 pounds. And you can actually hold out in front of you like this when you're doing the pistol squats, because it's actually gonna help you kind of keep your body weight forward like this. So that's also a variation you can play around with if it works for you. It actually doesn't really make the squat harder at first, but actually makes it easier, helps you keep your balance. But one thing, of course, you can do is once you get to the point where you're doing regular pistol squats or those step downs in the box and body weight feels really easy, you can add in a really heavy dumbbell, hold some kind of weight to challenge yourself a little bit more. All right, so kind of play around with that, see where you're at, and have fun with it.